Let me think, what can I say about the bass parts on this EP? Basically, pun intended, when we wrote the songs back in 2017, early 2018, we still had a bass player, which is not the case right now at the moment where we record this and publish the EP. And he provided us the parts, but they were like demo parts, and they were minimalistic and not quite fitting, like especially the overworked and partly rewritten versions of the songs that we released now. So of course there was a need for new bass parts, but sadly our bass player left the band last year, so in the final production phase I had to overtake his role and play the bass, which was kind of a challenge for me. I had been playing bass before every now and then, but not really on a professional level, not really trying to play on a click like super tight and not for recording, so it was a challenge for me. I mean, it did eventually work out, but it was definitely hard in some parts because like I said, we had to rewrite some of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff that happened on the bass in the early demos, to like really fit and adapt it to the new versions, the final versions of the songs. And some parts I really tried to like not double the guitars, but make a fitting kind of third guitar, like a rhythm guitar that is adapting kind of what the actual rhythm guitar plays, but a little bit more bass-like, if you can say it like that. And I think I achieved by doing that, but it was a bit hard in some cases to play the parts and play them tight and play them on the recordings so they would eventually sound good. I'm actually pretty proud of what I did on the bass. There were some parts that I really liked, and that came out of nowhere. Like my favorite bass part on the whole EP from what I've written might just be the bass line underneath the first guitar solo of Introvertex when it changes to the 4/4 signature. That is really kind of funky and really kind of came out of nowhere, like just from jamming around and doing stuff. It's really a part I really enjoy playing, even though I don't play the bass regularly in rehearsals or stuff like that, and I won't be playing the bass live, of course, because I am a lead guitarist as well, so we have to find a bass player. But yeah, apart from the parts and bass lines and riffs that I wrote to adapt to the newer version, the final versions of the songs, we also kept things that our former bass player wrote, like for example the intro section, or like the beginning solo of Galaxies. Like it's a simple bass line, but it's actually what he wrote, and it works perfectly well. Like also the break where the bass doesn't play every eighth bar, that is a thing that I wanted to keep, what he did. And also the build-up in the bridge section of the same song. And one of my favorite bass parts that our former bass player left us with was the solo section of Through the Sun, a song which I really like, and it was just so groovy, and he like just improvised his own solo underneath my solo, and that worked so well that I tried to adapt most of what he did. Like the beginning of the part, I modified it a bit, but the idea is still what he wrote and he played. So it is basically my adaptation, my version of it. and it works perfectly well. I really love the groove of this section, like the drums and the guitars and my solo, of course. I like my solo, I admit it. And like this bass part is really great. It's like really great mix of that and really groovy.